People often mistake detachment for indifference. They think it's about closing your heart, about shutting the door on emotion. But the truth is, detachment is not the absence of feeling, it's the presence of understanding. It is not a wall to keep the world out, it's a window that lets you see it more clearly. And if you've ever been hurt deeply, if you've ever held on too tightly only to watch something slip away, you already know, detachment can save you. For years, I didn't understand this. I thought love meant holding on at all costs. I thought friendship meant always being available, no matter what it did to me. I thought family meant sacrificing my own peace for their approval. And so, I gave, and in return, I was left empty, not because I was unloved, but because I didn't know how to love myself enough to let go when I needed to. Detachment was something life forced on me, not something I chose. The first time I felt it, it was in the silence after someone I loved walked away. I had begged them to stay, promising to change, to bend myself into someone they could love again. But they left anyway. For days, I replayed every word, every mistake, every moment we shared. And then, one afternoon, sitting in a cafe I used to visit with them, I felt still. Not happy, not sad, just still. It was as if my heart had finally stopped clinging to the idea of what should have been, and in that stillness, I could breathe again. That was the first glimpse of clarity. Clarity shows you that people will come and go, and no amount of holding on will make them stay if they've already chosen to leave. Clarity shows you that you can love someone without needing to control them, that you can wish them well even as you close the door. And in that, you find freedom, the kind of freedom that doesn't harden you, but softens you in the right places. But here's the thing. The world doesn't celebrate detachment. It celebrates the chase, the fight, the idea that love and loyalty are proven by how much you suffer for them. Letting go is seen as giving up, and walking away is seen as weakness. People don't realize that sometimes walking away is the strongest thing you can do, not just for yourself, but for the other person too. Because love that is clung to becomes suffocating, and friendship that is forced becomes hollow. I began to practice detachment not out of bitterness, but out of self-respect. I learned to notice when my energy was being drained and to step back before I was empty. I learned to listen to what people did, not just what they said. And slowly, I realized that my peace was worth more than my place in someone else's life. Detachment taught me something I wish I had known years ago: you can care without carrying. You can listen without absorbing. You can be present without being consumed. It's not coldness, it's balance. It's knowing that you are responsible for your actions, your words, your choices, but you are not responsible for how someone receives them. You can love with open hands, not closed fists. And the beautiful thing about loving with open hands is that it leaves room for people to stay because they want to, not because they feel trapped. Room for relationships to grow naturally, not through fear or guilt. Room for you to breathe without constantly fearing loss. But detachment isn't easy, especially when your heart is naturally giving. It requires you to face the uncomfortable truth that not everyone you love will love you the same way. It asks you to stop fighting for places where you're only tolerated. It forces you to accept that sometimes people you thought would be permanent are only passing through. And yet, in that acceptance, there's a strange kind of peace, the kind that comes when you stop swimming against the current and let the river carry you where you're meant to go. That's the heart of it. Detachment isn't about feeling less. It's about seeing more, seeing the truth without the fog of attachment. And once you see clearly, you can no longer be fooled by false promises, by half-hearted efforts, by words that are not backed by actions. You begin to choose differently. You begin to love differently. And most importantly, you begin to live differently. The more I practiced detachment, the more I realized how much space it created in my life, not empty space, but sacred space. It was in this space that I started hearing my own thoughts again, feeling my own emotions without them being drowned out by someone else's chaos. I began to remember what it was like to wake up without checking my phone for a message that would determine my mood for the day. I began to remember what it felt like to belong to myself. But detachment also tested me in unexpected ways. There were moments when people accused me of being distant or cold, when they mistook my calmness for lack of care. And it hurt, because I cared deeply. I just didn't let that care consume me anymore. I had learned that if my love required me to lose myself, it wasn't love worth keeping. You see, detachment doesn't mean you stop loving people. It means you stop attaching your sense of worth to how they treat you. It means you understand that their choices, their moods, and their opinions are reflections of them, not you. And that's liberating, because you stop trying to win love, and instead, you allow it to meet you where you are. It also makes you more present. When you're not clinging to the fear of losing someone, you're free to enjoy them in the moment. You listen more closely, you see them more clearly, because you're not constantly scanning the horizon for signs they might leave. And if they do leave, you let them. Not because you don't care, but because you understand that the people meant for you don't have to be held by force. Detachment is clarity, and clarity gives you the courage to choose peace over chaos. It helps you walk away from conversations that go nowhere, from arguments that only reopen old wounds, from situations that drain more than they give. It doesn't make you avoidant, it makes you intentional. You stop showing up where your presence isn't valued. You stop chasing what is running away. And in doing so, you make space for what is running toward you. And here's the truth that changed everything for me: the right people will never require you to betray yourself to keep them. They will never make you feel like you're too much or not enough. They will never punish you for having boundaries. When you embrace detachment, you stop settling for anyone who does, because you can finally see them for who they are, not who you wish they could be. The modern world often glorifies constant attachment, the idea that you must always be available, always connected, always on. But in reality, detachment is one of the most loving things you can give yourself. It's the gift of perspective, of knowing when to lean in and when to step back. It's the wisdom of recognizing that not every door is meant to be opened, and not every hand is meant to be held forever. I think of detachment now as holding a beautiful bird in your hands. If you grip too tightly, you harm it. If you open your hands, it may choose to fly away, but it may also choose to stay, simply because it wants to. And if it does fly away, you smile, because you know it was never yours to own in the first place. You were just lucky to witness it for a while. That's what detachment has given me: gratitude for what is, rather than desperation for what could be. I no longer waste my energy trying to rewrite endings. I no longer beg people to see my worth. I no longer live in a state of constant grasping. And in the quiet that remains, I've found something I never thought I would: peace. So no, detachment isn't coldness. It's clarity. It's knowing that you can love without losing yourself, give without being emptied, and care without carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders. It's standing in your truth without demanding that others stand there with you. And it's trusting that the people who are meant for you will meet you there, not because you chased them, but because you stayed true to yourself. And when you finally live this way, you understand something profound: you were never meant to hold everything together. You were meant to hold yourself together, and let the rest flow as it will.